We are trying to find the equation of this line called f of t. So this blue line here. Now previously, the easy step was trying to find the y-intercept. So that's this bit here. But if you have a look at it, it's not that easy to see because it's not a whole number. So I actually don't know what it is. So we can't really use this approach. All right. So what we can do instead is have a look at which points have nice whole values. So one that does. That point, not a point that has a nice whole value. But we have this point here and this point here. Okay? So by looking at it, remembering our equation, y is equal to mx plus c, where m is equal to our rise over our run. And so if we have a look at that small little triangle that's made there, we can see that we run along 3, okay, because we go -2 to -1, and we only run up by 1. So our rise, in this case, is going to be 1, and our run is going to be 3. So instantly that tells us 1/3 of x plus c, straight away. Okay, but now we need to find c, and that means that we need to substitute in a point. So looking at this, I like the look of this point here. 1 up, 1 across. It's nice and easy. You can use the other one, but you're going to get more horrible numbers. So I'm going to use that point. So what we're going to say is x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 1. And we're going to sub. Okay, so we're going to substitute that in. So then we have 1 plus c. So now we have an equation that helps us find c. So let's simplify this a little bit. And let's solve for c. Okay, so this is where it gets kind of confusing. When we come to multiplication division, we've got this special number 1, okay? If I've got a number here, let's say 4, and I times it by 1, what is that? That'll be 4. If I've got -3, and I times it by 1, what is that? Well, that'll be -3. If I have 4 and I divide it by 1, well, that'll be 4. So what we can do here is, when we're dealing with fractions, is kind of say, hey, that's like 1 divided by 1. Now there's this thing, right? The common denominator. You might have heard that. So basically the bottom bits has to be the same. So what we can do is I always draw this little symbol out to just remind me of what to do. Another word you might have heard is like cross multiplication or something along those sorts. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make the bottom bit all equal to the same. So we times them together. So for instance, we'll say that it's 1 and we'll times that by 3. And now if we times it by that, that's equal to our left-hand side over there. And hopefully you can kind of see that this guy here in purple, that kind of represents what we had a few seconds earlier. That just equals to 1 when you do it, right? So it's kind of the reverse of calculating maths, right? Like you're just adding things to it by using this funky thing that if you times or divide by 1, it's equal to the same stuff. So 3 divided by 3 is just 1. All right, 1 times by 1 is just 1. 1 divided by 1 is just 1. Likewise, and this blue stuff over here, we can see the same thing happens with that times by 1 divided by 1. Now, you don't need to go into this much detail, but it's really just me showing you that this is the basics of the maths. This is what happens under the hood. So we're left back with our original equation. Okay, so now we've got this step. What we can do is draw a line across. Say 1 times by 3, 1 times by 3. So that's why I like to draw this little symbol. It just shows where things need to multiply. And we need to say these guys multiply each other. That needs to multiply there, and that needs to multiply there. Okay? So now when we've done all of that, we can finish it off. 3 minus 1 divided by 3. And that is equal to 2 divided by 3. Now, there are a couple of ways of getting there. If you're used to looking at common denominators, then you can say like, oh, I see that 3 is the one at the bottom. So I just need to multiply the guy on the top by 3. And then I can say that's equal to 2 divided by 3. So there's lots of different ways to get there. This one, the method that I showed first, kind of works for everything. But it is confusing. So if you have any questions, there's a link to how to do fractions again, because fractions appear in year 11 and 12 all the time, and you'll need to do that quite a bit. But anyway, we have our value of C here in purple, and also in purple, we have our value of M. So now we can say the final equation is that Y is equal to 1/3 x plus 2 divided by 3.